Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave Wallace, and I've been talking for a while about putting together some short videos that are tips for new DMs. So that's what this is going to be today. This is the first of those, and we're going to start with something really simple. This is the names list. That's right, this is a list of unattributed names that you keep beside you in the game that you can draw on at any time you need to. There's one thing you can count on when it comes to being a new DM, and you're trying to prepare your game. You're trying to think of every possible scenario. You can spend weeks trying to come up with every possible scenario that your players might choose to do, and it never fails. They're going to find one you didn't prepare for. That's the way they're going. It's the damnedest thing, but it happens. So you got to be quick. You got to be creative, and any preparedness that you have is definitely going to help. That's where the list is going to come into play. Having a list of unattributed names on hand can help you transition chance encounters seamlessly into your gameplay. My players can walk into a tavern in a town that I have created, and I already know what every main character, important character that they might encounter, everything about them and every way they would handle their situations. It can be from the mayor of the town to the drunk bum sleeping out in the alleyway. But it's a full town, and of course, my players are going to go into that tavern at happy hour, and there's going to be 3 guys in the corner staring at an orb on a table. It happens to be the exact same orb that my players are looking for, but they want to talk to the dude who's just sitting by himself at the bar, who I have not planned anything for. And then they ask, what's his name? And I go, John, that's his name. Say, what's his last name? I'm going to say, damn it. So that's where the list comes in handy. You can have one, you can have it on your computer, on your laptop, you can have it on your phone. I like to have it on paper so that way I can kind of lean over and scribble off exactly what I attributed that name to, or who I attributed that name to. Now, of course, coming up with names these days, it's a lot easier than it used to be. You can find all kinds of name generators online through websites, apps. Even D&D Beyond has their own name generator in the character creation part. Easy to find. I still do things the same way I've done it for decades now. I want every aspect of my world building to be creative and using my mind. So I just like to if I got some downtime, and just kind of open up a notepad on my computer, and I'll walk around the shop and looking at things that have words on them and try and mess with the letters a little bit, pick up a bottle of hand sanitizer, and from just that I can get, Santi, that sounds like a name, or Tanzer, that sounds like a pretty good name actually. Just a little bit of name boggle. That's just me. That's just a simple creative exercise that you can do. But again, plenty of ways you can deal with name generators these days. When you're creating your names list, don't forget to put last names in. A lot of people will just put in the first names of characters, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to world building and filling out this place where your characters are traveling, having last names brings things together in new ways as people spread across the globe. They say that we're only, 6 degrees of separation from every other person on the planet. So doing that in this game kind of brings it all together, makes it seem more real and deep and rich. When you put down a last name, give yourself 3 or 4 first names that can be attached to that. You don't need to use them all at once, but it could come handy if your players meet, say, a family or a married couple, and just put 2 names to that. But always try and keep a couple on the side as a spare, because you never know when they might meet someone else later with that same name that can suddenly make an interesting side quest. Let me give you an example.
Okay, so I'm going to take you into my World Anvil page here. See my world of Valencia. So, okay, let's say my players, they've been traveling around for a while, maybe in the middle of a campaign. particular mission, and let's say they end up here, this little Obton. They end up in Obton, this little fishing village here, and maybe they're walking back to their rooms after a night at the tavern, and they come across an alley where a lady, a female elf, is being mugged. Now, suppose I didn't create much info for that lady because I was focused on giving the heroes someone to fight. Maybe they were even specifically looking for these muggers. But they win the fight, and the lady thanks them and starts on her way when one of my players asks, "Hey, wait, what's your name?"
So I look down my names list and I'm looking for something that I can attribute to a female elf. And as I'm looking, I come across one that's available. And I get a little bit of inspiration because that last name is also attributed to another character, an NPC, who's very important in my world, but my players haven't actually met yet. And, giving them free reign in an RPG, it's possible they never will. But just in case, I noticed that, and so I just decide to associate this female name with that same last name. So as she's about to walk away, she turns to them and she says, "My name is Felucia Stormcrow." And she walks over to him, hands him a couple pieces of gold for their trouble, and then she takes off a brooch from her cloak. She hands it to him and says, "Keep this on you. You never know when it might come in handy." And then she disappears in the night. Now,
So it's months later, my players are back at the table, continuing on their campaign, and they end up in the beautiful elven city of Ambrovia. This is famous across Valencia for its universities and institutions of higher learning and deep magic. But of course, they end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, get framed for a murder they didn't commit. The city guard moves in, but there are too many to fight. Our heroes are apprehended and searched, and one of the guards finds the brooch and recognizes it. The heroes are taken before the leader of the city, Lord Fyron Stormcrow, who also happens to be Felucia's father.
this opens all sorts of avenues in the game. For one, I have extended an olive branch to my players who might be able to use persuasion now to get out of going to jail. They can say, "Hey, we've met your daughter, we've saved her in time of trouble, this and that." Maybe it opens a whole new side quest because Lord Fyron hasn't seen or heard from his daughter in over a year, and he misses her terribly, and he's concerned about her, and is willing to pardon the players if they will travel and try and convince her to come home. So all kinds of new avenues that this could open up. It doesn't have to be that extravagant. Sometimes it's nice to have a names list just so that you don't stumble over your words when your player asks, "What's their name?" Either way, it's going to come in handy, I promise. If you're making very deep and rich worlds full of people, this is definitely going to come in handy. And once you've filled up notes on everything, start a new one. Pretty simple. Anyway, that's just a little tip for today, and we'll get to some others in the future here. But I want to know, how do you create your character names? Do you just use generators, or do you have your own system of doing that? And is a names list something that you use, or does it sound like it'd be something useful for you to use? That's going to be it for today. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hey gamers, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. It's one of the things I know that I can count on with the gaming community at large. This is of course to the point where I gotta ask you to like it, hit that subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend. If you are a game designer, or maybe starting your own gaming company, and you want to do a little bit of cross promotion, maybe you got a prototype that you want me to check out and talk about on the show, definitely let me know. And of course, for all questions, suggestions, and corrections, there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Probably the easiest one is just comment below. You can also send me an email at jackofallgamestt@gmail.com. The T stands for tabletop. And if you'd like to take a look at my commissioned miniature paint jobs, or even some of the other stuff in my life, like photography or tattooing, which is what I do for my day job, go check it out on Instagram at Art of Wallace. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.